एहसास न्याय का सबके लिए, आकाश न्याय का सबके लिए.
It is great honor for me to introduce and welcome the Honorable Principal District 10 Sessions Judge Shri Irshad Aga, who is also the chairperson of the North Goa District Legal Services Authority. We are all aware that drugs trafficking has spread all over the world and the law in regards to the drugs have changed. Initially there was Opium Act 1857, then Opium Act 1878 and the Dangerous Drugs Act 1930. Today, Honorable Principal District 10 Sessions Judge Shri Irshad Aga will be enlightening us on the various aspects of the law on Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act 1985, which is commonly known as NDPS Act. I welcome you, sir.
Hello friends, at the outset, I would like to thank the Goa State Legal Services Authority for giving me an opportunity to express my views and to explain the important provisions of the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act 1985. My presentation today will be basically in two parts. I will be discussing some important provisions of the Act and some important decisions passed by the Honorable High Court and Supreme Court. Before starting with the provisions of the Act, it would be necessary to know a brief history of the Act, how it developed and why it developed. Originally, we had what is known as the Opium Act 1857 and the Opium Act 1875 and the Dangerous Drugs Act 1930. It was found that the provisions contained in the original acts were not sufficient enough to control the illicit drug trafficking. The powers given to the police officers in the earlier acts were not sufficient enough to control the spread of drugs, and that is how the present act was enacted. The act contains various chapters. Chapter 1 is a preliminary chapter which contains a definition clause. In this chapter, some important concepts, drugs are defined. It defines who is an addict, what is cocaine, what is narcotic drugs, what is psychotropic substance. All these definitions are contained in chapter 1 of the Act. What is NDPS Act? NDPS Act is an act of Parliament of India that prohibits a person to produce, manufacture, cultivate, possess, sell, purchase, transport or consume a narcotic drug or a psychotropic substance. What is narcotic drugs? Narcotic drug means coca leaf, cannabis, hemp, opium, poppy straw, and includes all manufactured drugs. What is psychotropic substance? Psychotropic substance means any substance, natural or synthetic, or any natural material or any salt or preparation of any substance or material included in the list of psychotropic substance specified in the list. Chapter 4, which contains and lays down various offences and penalties. This chapter contains sections 15 to 40. It deals with various offences and penalties. Here, it would be necessary to know that the NDPS Act went into amendments on 3 occasions. One in the year 1988, thereafter in the year 2001, and thereafter somewhere in the year 2014. Important amendment was an amendment of the year 2001. Before amendment, there was no distinction between type of the offences committed by the offenders. Even for a minor quantity of possession of drugs, a person would languish in jail. And that is why in the year 2001, an amendment was carried out and various offences were classified on the basis of the quantity of the substance. The Act thereafter divided the substance into small quantity and commercial quantity. For small quantity, punishment was prescribed up to 1 year and or with fine of rupees 10,000. For a person possessing any drugs of a commercial quantity, the punishment was 10 to 20 years and fine of rupees 2 lakhs. For variable quantity, the punishment was up to 10 years and fine of rupees 10,000. This amendment was brought into force because before amendment, many people were languishing in jail even for small quantity of drugs. Thereafter, it is necessary to know what is the law on bails. Section 37 of the Act is an important section in the entire Act. We should know what is the law on bails under the Act. The Act has been enacted with a view to make stringent provisions for the control and regulation of the operation relating to the NDPS Act. That being the position, the underlying object of the Act in negative terms limits the scope of the applicability of the provisions of CRPC regarding bail. The non-obstante clause with which the section starts is to be given its due meaning, and it clearly intends to restrict the powers to grant bail. As per section 37(1)(b), court must adopt a negative attitude towards bail, but turn positively. Firstly, if it is satisfied that there are reasonable grounds for believing that the accused is not guilty of offence under the Act, and secondly, that he is not likely to commit any offence which on bail, while he is on bail. With both these tests must be satisfied before bail can be granted. The interesting point to be noted here is that the expression reasonable ground as used in section 37 means something more than prima facie grounds. It connotes substantial probable cause for believing that the accused is not guilty of the offence. Further, the Act also lays down procedure for investigation. NDPS Act is a complete code in itself. Entire procedure has been prescribed under the Act. Section 41 to 68 of the Act deal with the procedure of investigation. The object of the Act is to make stringent provisions for the control and regulation of the drugs. Section 35 and Section 54 deals with presumption. Any person who is found in possession of the drugs, the burden is on the accused to prove that either that he was not in conscious possession of the substance or that he was not possessing. This reverse burden of proof definitely will come into play provided the entire case of the prosecution is based on a correct procedure laid down under the Act. The procedure which is very material to the Act is the raid which is conducted by the investigating officer. Case of possession of narcotic drugs is cracked by conducting raid. Now these raids are of two types. Raids are based on the basis of the information received by the police officer, by the investigating officer, or it can be a chance raid. Chance raid is a raid wherein either the investigating officers encounters or comes into contact with any person and suspects that the said person may be possessing drugs. In this case, there is no any information. In cases of raid which are conducted on the basis of information, whenever any information is received by police officer, the information is required to be put down in writing. This is the first step. The information has to be brought to the notice of the superior officer. What is normally done is that an intimation letter is prepared. This intimation letter is sent to the superior officer along with a copy of the information. This information is sent through one of the police staff who is mostly a police constable. It is not necessary that in all cases a police constable will be sent. Sometimes a higher officer may also go with the intimation letter. Normally, a superior officer is a device P. The practice is such that he receives the information, and upon receipt of the information, the superior officer makes an endorsement on the original intimation letter, acknowledging the receipt of the information. He retains the original letter and the copy of the information. After this formality, the police team constitutes a raiding party. Before proceeding for raid, the police officer arranges to punch witnesses required for conducting search and search Panchanaama. Thereafter, they, along with the police team, go to the place as informed and as received by them in the information. After reaching the spot of the place where the suspect is likely to arrive, the police officials along with the raiding team conceal themselves, and thereafter when the suspect comes to the spot, he is surrounded by the police officials and the raiding party. At this time, it is important duty and the requirement of law as contained in section 50 of the ATPS Act that the police officer is required to conduct raid in the presence of magistrate or any gazetted officer. It is required that the police officer informs the accused or the suspect that if he requires, he can be searched before a magistrate or a gazetted officer. Subsection 5 of section 50 provides that in case the suspect does not wish to be searched before a magistrate or a gazetted officer, he may decline and permit the investigating officer to carry out the search. However, it was found that the investigating officers would normally show, in most cases show that the accused or the suspect declined to be searched before magistrate or a gazetted officer. In this connection, there are some important judgments and how the law developed on section 50. In a constitutional bench judgment in the case of State of Punjab versus Baldev Singh, it was held that it is imperative for the investigating officer to inform the suspect orally or in writing about his right to be searched before a magistrate or a gazetted officer. Failure to give such information would not vitiate the trial but render the recovery of illicit article illegal and vitiate the conviction and sentence if recorded. If the person informed is required to be searched before the gazetted officer or a magistrate, the empowered officer is obliged to comply and take the accused to the magistrate or the gazetted officer. Taking the suspect or the accused to magistrate or the gazetted officer sometimes may take time, and it is within the powers of the investigating officer to detain the said suspect till he is taken to the magistrate or an executive magistrate or a magistrate. Thereafter, there was another judgment, Vijay Singh Chandubai Jadeja versus State of Gujarat. It was held that requirements of section 50 of the NDPS Act are mandatory and should be strictly complied with. It is imperative on the part of the police officer to appraise the persons intended to be searched only before a gazetted officer or a magistrate. It was held that even if a suspect person did not choose to exercise the right under section 50, it is imperative on the part of the investigating officer to appraise the suspect about the right. Recently, the Honorable Supreme Court in Arif Khan versus State of Uttarakhand, somewhere in August 2018, passed a judgment and held that it is imperative on the part of the investigating officer to conduct rape in the presence of magistrate or a gazetted officer. In this case, the accused, that is the suspect, had given in writing that he does not want to be searched before executive magistrate or a executive gazetted officer or a magistrate. In spite of this undertaking, the Honorable Supreme Court has held that although the suspect has a right under section 50 into bracket 2, it is required for the investigating officer to see that the accused or the suspect is taken to gazetted officer or a magistrate. Therefore, the law on this aspect is settled. Such raids are to be conducted before executive magistrate or a gazetted officer. After search is conducted, the investigating officer is required to send the substance to the forensic laboratory for the purpose of chemical examination. In some cases, quantity of substance is large. When the quantity is large, an inventory is conducted. During inventory, the parcels are again opened and divide it into 4 parts. One part is sent for chemical examination. Such an inventory is required to be conducted before an executive magistrate. A detailed inquiry proceeding is drawn of samples supported by certificate of the magistrate issued under subsection 3 of section 52A of the Act. The certificate of the magistrate becomes a primary evidence. It would also be necessary for us to know what is the procedure of storage, disposal, destruction and judicial supervision of the drugs. It was found that after the raids were conducted, the substance was lying at the police station or in the courts. Therefore, the Honorable Supreme Court had directed that such substance which are lying should be disposed of in accordance with law. By Standing Order number 1 of 1989, dated 13 June 1989, Union of India prescribed the procedure to be followed for seizure, sampling, safekeeping and disposal of seized drugs. Thereafter, the Government of India, by a circular dated 23rd February 2011, impressed upon the Chief Secretaries and the police heads of the state governments to ensure the instructions given in the standing orders are followed. In the case of Union of India v. Mohanlal and another, Criminal Appeal 652 of 2012, decided by the Honorable Supreme Court on 28th January 2016. The Honorable Supreme Court noticed a report published in Times of India of huge quantities of seized drugs and chances of their pilferage or recirculation in the market. The Honorable Supreme Court called for reports from various states about the compliance of the standing order. As per section 52A into bracket 2 into bracket C, upon seizure of the contraband, the same has to be forwarded either to the officer in charge of the nearest police station or to the officer empowered under section 53 of the Act, and who shall thereafter prepare an inventory. For the purpose of making an inventory, the officer has to write a letter to the magistrate and follow the procedure as explained by me above. Another important aspect involved in the cases pertaining to NDPS drugs is that in most of the cases it was found that the investigating officer is himself the complainant. The courts found that when investigating officer is himself a complainant and is investigating into the crime, a prejudice is likely to be caused to the accused person, because whenever an investigating officer undertakes investigation, he is bound to see that the person against whom he is making out a case lands in jail and that the case lands in conviction. That means his investigation will not be a correct investigation. He would always be biased. This is very important because, as we know, the NDPS Act is based on a principle of reverse burden of proof. In the case of Mohanlal, 3-judge bench of the Honorable Supreme Court, it was held that informant and investigator in NDPS cases must not be the same person. The relevant issue before the court was whether in a criminal prosecution it will be in consonance with the principles of justice, fair play and a fair investigation. If the informant and the investigator were to be the same person, in such a case it is necessary for the accused to demonstrate prejudice, especially under laws such as NDPS Act carrying a reverse burden of proof. The bench noticed that in the case of State of Inspector of Police, Narcotic Intelligence Bureau, Madurai, Tamil Nadu versus Rajangam, the two judges bench of the apex court had held that investigating officer who apprehends the accused could not have investigated the case. The Honorable Supreme Court, in the case of Mohanlal, also considered the different views given by the Honorable Supreme Court in the case of Naushad versus State of Kerala and Kadar versus State of Kerala. Ultimately, the Honorable Supreme Court, in the case of Mohanlal, held that the investigating officer cannot be the complainant. Very latest judgment of the Honorable Supreme Court was in the case of Mukesh Singh versus State Narcotic Branch of India, dated 31st August 2020, which is a constitutional bench judgment. The Honorable Court discussed judgments in the case of Bhagwan Singh and Megha Singh, wherein court had held that IO cannot be complainant. Court also discussed the provisions of section 154, 156, 157 and 173 of CRPC. Honorable Supreme Court also discussed the case of Ranita Kumari and various provisions of the NDPS Act and held that there is no bar under the Act that IO cannot be the complainant, but the accused should not be prejudiced. Therefore, the judgment in the case of Mohanlal has been overruled by the Honorable Supreme Court. An important point involved under the NDPS Act is whether confessional statement made under section 67 of NDPS Act has evidentiary value. Whether the officer investigating the matter under the Act would qualify as police officer. The Honorable Supreme Court also considered the case of Noor Agha and Nirmal Singh Pehelwan, wherein it was held that IO acting under the NDPS Act is a police officer. Thereafter, in the case of Tufan Singh, question arose whether a confessional statement given by a suspect or an accused person before the investigating officer can be considered. The issue was referred to the Honorable Supreme Court, and the Honorable Supreme Court recently decided the reference made in the case of Tufan Singh. The Honorable Supreme Court, while deciding the case, discussed with various fundamental rights of the person as contained in the Constitution of India, more specifically Article 21. The Honorable Supreme Court also considered various provisions of the Evidence Act, more specifically section 24, 25, 26 and 27 of the Evidence Act. Honorable Supreme Court upheld the judgment in the case of Noor Agha and Nirmal Singh Pehelwan case and held that the officers who who are invested with powers under section 53 of the NDPS Act are police officers within the meaning of section 25 of the Evidence Act. As a result of which, any confessional statement made to them would be barred under the provisions of section 25 of the Evidence Act and cannot be taken into account in order to convict and accuse under the NDPS Act. That a statement recorded under section 67 of the NDPS Act cannot be used as a confessional statement during trial of the offences under the NDPS Act. Acts contain the provisions for controlling the illicit trafficking of drugs. At the same time, the Act also makes provision for the protection of a person who can at times may be vindictively booked or tried before the court. NDPS Act deals with drugs, and as well as we all know, drugs has affected our state and the nation very badly. Our youth is involved in drugs. We hear and read about the increase of drug cases. The menace of drugs is devastating to the victim as well as to their families. We need to curb this deadly menace and spread awareness about its bad effects on society. And I would request the parents and the citizens to prevent the spread of menace of drug addiction by creating awareness and taking all sorts of precautions. With this, I again say thank you to all the listeners.
Once a great man whispered, feeling thankfulness and not expressing it is like wrapping a present and not giving it. Today, I take the opportunity to put all my gratitude into words. First of all, I would like to thank the Goa State Legal Services Authority for giving me an opportunity to introduce Honorable Principal District and Sessions Judge Shri Irshad Aga on this virtual platform and for creating a platform for the general public to be aware of their rights and laws. And it is a matter of honor for me to address the vote of thanks. And please do share and subscribe to this channel so that you are aware about various laws. Namaste.
राष्ट्रीय न्यायिक सेवा प्राधिकरण
न्यायालयातल्या कारवाई खातीर बरो वकील मेळून दिता.
वेळार योग्य कायद्या खालची मदत आणि सल्लो दिता.
लोक अदालत द्वारा चढ काळच्या केसीक बेगीन सोपयता
आणि ते बी सामके मोफत.
राष्ट्रीय न्यायिक सेवा प्राधिकरण बेस बरो न्याय बेस बरो समाज.
अधिक माहिती खातीर लागच्या न्यायालयातल्या न्यायिक सेवा प्राधिकरण कार्यालयाला संपर्क करा
वा टोल फ्री नंबर 1510 चेर फोन करा.